The snow was falling hard when an officer and his loyal K-9 stumbled upon a chilling sight, a young boy lying motionless in the icy woods. His lips were blue, his tiny body frozen. But what happened after the rescue began would shock not just the officer, but the entire town. Officer Mark pulled his scarf tighter around his neck, his breath forming clouds in the icy night air. At his side, Rex, his loyal German Shepherd K-9, padded silently through the snow, his sharp eyes scanning every shadow. That it wasn't supposed to be a dangerous night, just another routine patrol. But storms like this could hide more than just icy roads. They concealed lives, secrets, and dangers that most never saw. Mark trusted Rex's instincts more than his own eyes, especially when the snow blurred everything into white silence. The streets were eerily quiet, lined with cars buried under snowdrifts. Lights flickered in distant windows, but outside, the world felt abandoned. Mark adjusted his radio, listening for static, when Rex suddenly lifted his head, ears pricked, body stiffening. The dog's breath came in sharp puffs, his gaze fixed on the dark woods ahead. Mark felt a chill deeper than the cold. Something was out there, and Rex had already sensed it. The dog's ears stood tall, his nose lifted, sniffing against the bitter wind. A low growl rumbled in his chest, vibrating through the stillness. Mark tightened his grip on the leash, though he knew better. When Rex sensed something, he was never wrong. "Easy, boy," Mark whispered, but Rex wasn't waiting. With a sharp tug, he pulled forward, his paws digging into the snow. Mark stumbled, then followed, his boots crunching loudly as the leash slipped through his gloves. The dog's urgency was undeniable. He had locked onto a scent. The deeper they went, the quieter the world became. The storm muffled the sounds of the town until only the rush of the wind and Rex's steady panting remained. Mark's heart quickened with every step into the dark woods. Then Rex stopped abruptly, his body rigid, tail straight, ears pinned forward. He whined, pawing at the snow ahead. Mark followed his gaze, and that's when he saw something half buried in white, a small shape that didn't belong. Mark's breath caught in his throat. At first glance, the figure in the snow looked like a discarded bundle of clothes. But as he stepped closer, his chest tightened. A small hand, pale and stiff, peeked out from beneath the snowdrift. His heart dropped. He rushed forward, kneeling hard into the frozen ground. Brushing snow away with frantic hands, Mark uncovered a little boy, no older than 7, his face ghostly white against the icy backdrop. His lips were tinged blue, his eyelashes frozen together. He wasn't moving. Rex circled anxiously, whining, nudging at the boy's shoulder with his cold nose. The dog pawed at the snow, his whimpers rising into urgent barks as if demanding Mark to act faster. Mark pressed trembling fingers to the child's neck. For a terrifying second, he felt nothing. Then, faintly, the tiniest flutter of a pulse. Relief crashed over him, mixed with fear. The boy was alive, but barely. "Hang on, buddy," Mark whispered, pulling off his own coat. "We've got you." Rex barked again, standing guard, his eyes locked on the fragile life they had just uncovered. Mark ripped off his heavy coat and wrapped it tightly around the boy's frail body. The child was frighteningly light, his skin cold as ice. Mark lifted him into his arms, his jaw clenched against the bitter wind. Every second counted. Hypothermia was stealing him away. "Come on, Rex," he muttered, his breath ragged. The German shepherd trotted ahead, ears alert, glancing back every few steps as though urging his partner to hurry. Mark staggered through the drifts, snow dragging at his boots. The weight of the boy heavy against his chest. He grabbed his radio with frozen fingers, shouting over the storm. "Officer down on patrol. Child found in the woods. Critical condition. Send medical immediately." Static crackled, but the message broke through. The boy stirred faintly, a weak sound escaping his lips. Mark bent close, whispering, "Stay with me. Just a little longer." His legs burned, but he pressed on, guided by Rex's steady presence. Somewhere in the distance, faint sirens began to cut through the storm. Hope flickered, but time was slipping fast. Red and blue lights pierced the swirling snow as the ambulance skidded to a stop on the icy road. Paramedics leapt out, their boots crunching against the frozen ground. Mark rushed forward, his arms aching from carrying the boy. "He's alive, but barely," he shouted, his voice breaking with desperation. The medics worked quickly, wrapping heated blankets around the child, inserting tubes, checking vitals. One of them shook his head grimly. Core temperature is dangerously low. We have minutes, maybe less. Mark stepped back, his chest heaving, as Rex paced in frantic circles, whining at the open doors of the ambulance. They loaded the boy onto the stretcher, the heart monitor beeping faintly, erratic and weak. The sirens wailed, the vehicle tearing off toward the hospital. Mark climbed into his patrol car, Rex leaping into the passenger seat. Together they followed, headlights slicing through the storm to the hospital. Doctors rushed the boy into emergency care. Mark and Rex stood in the waiting area, soaked and shivering, their hearts pounding. Hours felt like days as they waited, praying the boy would survive the night. Mark sat slumped in a chair, Rex resting faithfully at his feet. Hours of waiting had carved deep lines into his face, but when the doctor finally emerged, his expression told Mark this story wasn't finished. The boy will live, the doctor said, relief softening his voice. But there's something you need to know. He didn't just wander off into the snow. Mark straightened, his pulse quickening. What do you mean? The doctor exchanged a grim look with the attending nurse. The boy was malnourished. Bruises, old and new, cover his arms. He wasn't lost. He ran. Mark's stomach twisted. Behind him, Rex growled low, as though sensing the weight of the revelation. Further investigation confirmed the truth. This child hadn't fled the storm. He had fled a home where neglect and cruelty thrived. And if Rex hadn't found him in time, his story would have ended alone, buried in snow. Mark clenched his fists, his resolve hardening. Rescuing him from the cold was only the beginning. For a moment, fear flashed across his face, until he noticed the familiar figure lying nearby. Rex sat at his bedside, head resting on the mattress, amber eyes fixed on him with quiet devotion. Tentatively, the child reached out a trembling hand. Rex didn't move, didn't flinch. He simply pressed his warm nose against the boy's fingers, a gentle reassurance that he wasn't alone anymore. The boy's lips curved into the faintest smile, the first he had shown since being found. Mark stepped into the room, relief washing over him as he watched the silent exchange. He wouldn't leave your side, the officer said softly. The boy's gaze shifted to him, wary at first, then softening as he glanced back at Rex. For the first time, trust flickered in his young eyes. The boy clung to Rex, whispering words too soft to hear, but Mark understood them. The child had found his protector and his hope in the K-9 who refused to let go. Weeks later, the storm had long passed, but its memory lingered in the town's whispers. The little boy, once half buried in snow, now stood healthier, his cheeks fuller, his eyes brighter. He no longer flinched at every sound, because Rex was always there, his steady presence a shield against fear. Child services worked quickly, placing him in a foster home filled with warmth and kindness. But the officer and his K-9 were never far away. Mark visited often, Rex bounding through the door the moment he heard the boys laugh. Their bond had been forged in the snow that night, unbreakable and pure. Neighbors still shook their heads in disbelief at how close tragedy had come. Yet what they remembered most was the image of a loyal dog standing over a fragile boy, refusing to let the cold claim him. The boy had found safety. The town had found hope. And Mark knew, sometimes heroes wear badges, and sometimes they wear fur.